Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Discover New Music podcast from us at Pelt Music. Shortly, we'll be joined by Gamblers, who we recently featured over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify with their single Pulverizer. But before then, the usual reminders for myself, if you would, please do follow Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, whatever you're watching or listening. Absolutely delighted to have Gamblers on the Discover New Music podcast today. We've got Jimmy, Johnny, and Michael. Obviously, you guys over in the US, New York, sort of based. So it's earlier in the evening for you. It's pitch black outside here in the UK. But yeah, absolutely delighted to be able to have a chat about everything great going on with the band. But I always just like to start off with a nice little icebreaker and just say, how was your day been?
Well, I mentioned that we were talking earlier before we started recording that it looks like Mike and I are in the same clothes from last night. So my day hasn't been super productive. It looks like Johnny got up and went to work. I did work, but I do work from home. And so I got some things done, and I plan to do some relaxing this evening because we have a really busy 2 weeks up ahead of us as in gamblers here. A lot of shoots and shows coming, so I'm gonna try and relax the rest of the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. It's people I don't think people realize how much work it is just to like try to be in a band. Like it's like forget like if you're successful or not. Just like oh man, it's crazy. No, I had a good day. The courts system was kind to me. I found out that this guy who's suing me basically uh he put in his complaint all fucked up, and my lawyer was like, well, he's got 20 days to fix it, otherwise he's screwed. I should be saying this, but I'm saying it anyway.
Probably not.
um and then whatever, fuck him. And then
It's just
this other
America.
guy and then I had another court case settle that I was in a bad car accident, and so that settled. So I'm in a good mood because my lawyer gave me good news on two fronts.
Excellent.
That's great. Mike skates by getting unsued for another 20 days. It's a good news.
The guy's like a criminal, like it's bullshit. Like,
I'm
anyway.
sure you're innocent, man. We all know.
Hey, I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I
excellent.
had a rough one.
Yeah.
4 hours of sleep. Woke
Ooh.
up to teach some middle schoolers, and they're insane. And
Yes.
then I was running around Queens, like I said, trying to find John Gotti Jr.'s jeans for a video shoot.
Hmm.
And
I was
that's
gonna
why I was.
say you gotta
So
you gotta
Yeah.
provide some context there.
Yeah, that
I
might
don't.
help.
I don't owe them anything. I'm
Is
just kidding.
John Gotti's does John Gotti does John Gotti mean anything to anybody outside of New York? Do you know who that is, Paul? No.
No.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah.
He's one of the last of the big old mobsters floating around the East Coast, United States. Or wait, he's long gone now, isn't he?
John Gotti Sr. is dead for a
Yeah,
long time, but
senior's gone
Junior's
for a
still
while.
around. Junior used to live around the block from me when I was growing up. True story.
Organized crime.
Yes,
Wow.
from the same town as me and Mike.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Obviously, we've had court cases, organized crime, already, and yeah, it sounds like you've had three very different types of days. But obviously, yeah, we're all together now, and we're all together to discuss obviously gamblers, and as you say, busy couple of weeks coming up. Absolutely, people don't understand the pressures and yeah, how tough it is just to be in a band these days. But I'm sure we'll delve into a bit of that as we go on. Considering what we've talked about so far, I'm quite interested to hear the answer to this next question. We always start off the podcast with the same feature. Obviously, it's the Discover New Music podcast. So it is for hopefully people to discover some new music, hopefully the clues in the title. So we always like to give an introduction, and we give it a grandiose superhero-esque name of the origin story. But what is the story behind Gamblers. How did you guys come together to obviously perform under the name and yeah, tell us what that journey is. I'm sure it's going to be quite interesting.
Well, Johnny and I, we've been best friends for, geez, I guess the better part of, how old are we now? A good 20, yeah, a good 25, 26, 27 years. We've been really, really tight, and we've played, we kind of like started, even like when we were really little, we would pretend to be in a band together. Like we had like our first band was not even a real band. We're like, but then we started playing in bands, and then you know traveling together. We were like touring in different bands and stuff like that. Then we kind of went our separate ways for a little bit. I got into like production, doing a lot of hip hop production, and got more into kind of the business side of things. And then I was playing in another band that was touring, and I struck up a friendship with the guitar player of that band. And Gamblers actually started as a side project of this other band that I was touring in, with me and my friend Gary. And we started taking it kind of more seriously, and I was getting really deep into the hip hop world and kind of progressing in that way. And then we were like, oh, what if we tried to push Gamblers um in that sense? And then I recruited Johnny to join us. And then I went kind of my separate ways with Gary. He's no longer in the band, and I started thinking, maybe we could recruit Jimmy, because we knew Jimmy from the local Long Island music scene. He was in an awesome band called Edison Glass, that was really doing a lot of cool stuff, and this other band, Heavy Duty Super Egos, and we were just kind of friends through the scene. So we were like kind of talking on and off for a couple of years about him possibly coming in, and then um, the band kind of like reformed around like 2019 with myself and a couple other guys, like a new lineup. And then Johnny ended up coming back to the band. Jimmy came into the band, and then the last 5 years it's been the three of us as primary band members and songwriters. And this whole album was kind of started through that process and has carried on now. And we're really excited about how we are moving as a unit, and everything's great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, fantastic origin story and brings us up to the present day. And as you say, sophomore album's going to be out soon. It's called Pulverizer, but we're going to start off really with the single Pulverizer. That's the track we featured over on our Discover New Music playlist. So we always like to delve into the song a little bit. And um, it seems, from what I can see, a relatively personal sort of track, I think, for you, Michael, as well. So what is the kind of story behind the song? How did it come about for you? And obviously, how did you set about creating it?
Yeah, it's weird because a lot of what I went through that ended up symbolizing what Pulverizer is about, there's some foreshadowing, because a lot of what I was writing, um, when I was writing it, when we were making the album, some of the events didn't happen until after. But it ended up, like I said, just ended up kind of symbolizing um, the, pulverizing, or like the idea of a pulverizer or something pulverizing your life, as the song says. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like what what I've gone through personally is a lot of really, difficult stuff. I lost my mom recently. I was in like a really horrific car accident where multiple people were killed. And then my relationship, a 7-year relationship, ended, and you know, uh, that was difficult because there was a child involved, and I was a stepfather, and so that was tough. So all of that happened throughout the making of the album, and some of it I was dealing with lyrically, like as it was happening. Um, but then some of it just became really oddly timed. Um, for instance, and I would been giving these guys a shout out, like the week that our album went out for production. like physical production, like the vinyl, was like the same week my mom passed, and these guys had gone uh, without me knowing and had the album art updated to put in a line dedicating it to my mom's memory. So I want to thank these guys for that. So just a lot of like personal craziness, and these guys obviously I'm sure have their own experiences through it, but I will say that as heavy as the material thematically is, like, it was a very, I think, healthy process. I think the band's never been in a better place. I think chemistry wise, creativity wise, and productivity wise, just I think we were having a really good time making this record. um and hopefully people pick up on that, and I think it's our best work yet by a very wide margin.
Yeah, I can obviously only hope to imagine, what it must have been like for you to go through all of that, and obviously, yeah, very pulverizing. I can see where the title comes from, absolutely, and yeah, I imagine the process of getting in a room together and obviously writing that album must have been quite cathartic, really, to some extent.
Absolutely. Getting I mean, to me, that's what, like, we talked about this recently, but processing stuff through music, through art is like such a helpful thing to me. And I do want to say, Mike, that like we've been talking about this a lot lately, that like how strange is it that you were writing about some tough things and then a lot of really difficult stuff happened for you like right after that. I don't want to demystify that too much, but it just speaks to the universal nature of like suffering or loss. Like we were writing those songs about things that were happening to us then that felt hard then. And I didn't go through the same exact things that you went through, Mike, but I certainly went through times that I would, consider like a pulverizer experience, during those times. And I guarantee, like all of us have, we were writing this in the middle of well, the global pandemic happened during the middle of this writing process. So even just that collective sort of pain that went into this, I think it's highly, you know, relatable. And I say that just on a human level. We all kind of have our pain, and writing music about it makes it so much more fun. And if you listen to these songs, they're really fun. It's turning pain into fun. You know what I mean? Not that it takes away the pain or the horrible things that we've lost, but there's something there like, hey, I'm still here, and now I'm a little happier for it, listening to this music, writing this music, working on all this. But yeah, it was a great time writing this. It was a party to write and record, even though it is such weighty issues at hand.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, turning pain into fun, I think, is a great sort of phrase to use, because, as you say, that there is it's quite deep and sort of dark kind of source material for the songs on this album, but at the same time, um, I find they're quite uplifting sonically, to listen to, and there's great juxtaposition in that, and obviously very relatable sort of themes behind them, and obviously sort of yeah, you're never gonna um, get rid of that pain, but you can learn to live with it and learn to sort of grow and obviously, still live a life beyond all of that, which is a great message. And yeah, no, obviously listeners are thoroughly encouraged to, if they haven't already, check out the single. But I also want to encourage them to check out the music video. So regular listeners to this podcast will know that I'm a bit of a music video geek. Grew up watching music TV before school, after school. It just gives it helps you connect with a band a lot more than just obviously stick it on Spotify for a few minutes and listen to their single. Very much a dying art. And the video for Pulverizer, I absolutely loved, because I love music videos. But another thing that I don't think I've ever mentioned on this podcast before is I love professional wrestling. I really love professional wrestling. Grew up with it. I still watch it. I've got my kids into it. Yeah, taking them to a show this summer at Wembley, which is going to be fantastic for
Yes,
them.
AEW, let's go.
AEW, absolutely. All in we are, definitely. So obviously, if people are listening and haven't seen the video, they're probably thinking, why on earth are you talking about professional wrestling, Paul? Well, it's because obviously the video features it's the New York Wrestling Connection, I want to say. And obviously yourselves in the ring, and just tells a sort of story along with the video, which I absolutely love. So I'm guessing, we've got some wrestling fans with me on the podcast right now. How much fun was it for you to record that video?
Well, it was a blast. I mean, so it's funny because, dealing with musicians is tough. Try dealing with professional wrestlers. We're very much, peas in a pod in that sense. So it came together right at the end. We almost had to do something else, but it was so cool. I'm the professional wrestling geek of the band, but this will mean something to you, I'm sure. The New York Wrestling Connection School was started by ECW guys. So the brick wall that the wrestlers are coming
Yes.
through in the video is the brick wall from the ECW arena in Philadelphia, and the ring is from ECW as well. So that school has Trent Beretta, who's now in AEW. Chris Statlander's been through there. Willow Nightingale's been through there. Matt Cardona's been through there. MJF has been through there. So it was really cool. And we had a great experience doing it, and we got to actually they gave us tickets to go see their version of WrestleMania, which was called Psycho Circus. And we went a couple of weeks back to watch Psycho Circus, and the headline match had a Mikey Whipwreck from ECW. And it was insane, man. Like tables, ladders, chairs, fire. They were drinking like beer and Jack Daniels while they were wrestling. Like it was awesome. So it was a lot of fun, and yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad, and I love music videos that do something a little bit outside the box as well, especially these days because it is such a kind of lost art. Most music videos, if a band even bothers to make one, is it's probably just them in an empty warehouse playing their instruments. So to have it, tell a bit of a story as well. I just thought was fantastic, and obviously, I'm guessing the concept for that come from yourselves.
We collaborate a lot with,
John?
yeah, Johnny. Go for it, Johnny.
Yeah, we were trying to think of something for a while, and like we would throw ideas back and forth. And I think I threw around this wrestling. I'm not even like, I think they like wrestling more than I do. I didn't really grow up with it. I do find it fascinating, just like their attire. But I texted them like a few times, and they like nothing, like they wouldn't respond to it or whatever. And then like we're coming down to the wire where we gotta find an idea, and I'm like, yo, this is the last time I'm gonna bring this up. Like, do you guys want to try and explore this wrestling idea? And they were like, yeah, what the fuck, that's awesome. So that's how it came together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we work a lot with your music video fan. So we work a lot with the same guy, James Morano. He's a constant collaborator for us for video stuff. And with him, it's always a collaboration. So like it's like we're always involved in the concept. Sometimes you show up for a music video shoot, and it's like someone's worked out a concept, you like it, and they're telling you everything about it. But James is like, in with us, sitting there, like we're figuring it all out together. So yeah, we came up with that together, and then he somehow found some wrestlers and a spot that would work out with not for it wasn't easy. It took him a minute to lock this place down.
Yeah, nothing ever seems to be easy, especially for musicians trying to put things together these days. It's just the world has become very, very hard. But obviously, yeah, a fantastic video that's come out of it. And listeners, there'll be a link in the bio. So if you haven't already seen it, click through that link and do go and have a look at it because it is a work of art that needs to be appreciated. And obviously,
Thank you.
you've released another single as well since Pulverizer, so I just want to quickly touch on that one for listeners as well. Running from My Grave, more of a sort of more melancholic sort of song compared to Pulverizer, but equally quite a sort of uplifting sort of undertone to it again. And there's another great video as well to that as I'll touch on. But as far as the song goes, obviously sort of similar question to what we had with Pulverizer. What is that song for you? What does it mean to you?
I mean, that's probably of all of them, probably, I guess maybe the most in terms of dealing with foreshadowing. I mean, it's not necessarily about death per se, but it's more about, I guess, running away from falling into being the person that you would consider that you might as well be dead, if that makes sense. Like, I think it's a lot of life, like for me, is running towards the person I want to be, and the life that I want to live, and what I want to be doing. And I think it's easy to get sidetracked and not even realize you're being sidetracked, or fall into things that can hold you back, like personal demons. And I think we've all dealt with that, and know people that maybe aren't with us anymore, or you know uh got in trouble, or whatever, or even they didn't get in trouble and they still are with us, but maybe they're dead inside because they kind of gave into societal pressures of, well, you know you should slap yourself down with a mortgage you can't afford, and two car payments you can't afford, and you know whatever. So I think that song is like, it sounds negative, but it's more about kind of running towards who you want to be. But then obviously dealing with things like the imagery of death, and then actually having to deal with it in real life. And you know the start of towards the beginning of the recording process, I lost my grandfather, who was really I was really close to. And then at the very end, I lost my mom. And I was like kind of capped off by these two major losses in my life. Excuse me, the New York accent came through. um but like Jimmy said, I mean, it's dealing with a lot of heavy shit, but kind of flipping it a little bit.
Yeah, because musically that one is like a dance, like you can dance to that. Like we designed that song to be like, hey, this is the part how this is the part in the song where like, oh, this is gonna be a dance song. Come on, let's do it. I think we consciously were drifting towards a Cyndi Lauper sound. That record has looms large for all of us. And Yeah, so everything you said, yeah, there's difficult stuff in there. But again, this is about like dancing. And I think sometimes that's enough victory to like of a feeling of victory to be able to dance around difficult topics. Not dance around, but dance while difficulty is happening. Just combining an uplifting musical experience with difficult real topics, to me, is like quite a yeah, that's a victory. That to me, that's a victory. We're processing difficult stuff, but we're still dancing. We haven't lost our step here.
Absolutely, it's ever so important. There's a band from the UK you may or may not have heard of called Idols, and they popularized a saying, "Joy is an act of resistance."
Cool.
The world is so tough; it's constantly beating you down or pulverizing you. And yeah, just being able to come out the other side and still be able to dance is a major victory, and something we should all be able to celebrate, because yeah, life is absolutely tough. So no, absolutely fantastic. And obviously, yeah, a couple of songs there to whet the appetite for listeners. But of course, the album itself, Pulverizer, is out on March the 29th, so 8 days away as we talk now. Obviously, everything we've talked about, and everything that you've gone through as individuals, and obviously the pandemic we went through together as a world, the process of building that album has been long and arduous, really. So with that release on the horizon, you must be really excited, I would hope. Um,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, it's always a weird moment when you release music for me personally. Because it's like it's this big buildup and then you realize like, oh, yeah, now I'm sharing this with the world and, okay, like what's next? Like that's how I don't know, maybe that's not the healthiest thing, but like in my mind, I'm already like two, three steps beyond like, all right, what are we doing next? And I have some ideas that I'm excited about and stuff like that. But it is important, I think, to stop and smell the roses once in a while and just be like, hey, like, you know, we did it. I mean, I grew up like you were saying, with MTV and that's our generation. And, my generation was we went to the record store on a Tuesday and we went and bought a new CD. That's so I still like the fact that we now are, we have our music in stores. Like I know that means nothing to like the younger generations, but like for me, it's one of those stop and smell the roses moments where, like when we get to touch the vinyl and it's like, holy shit, like, this is remember when we were just sitting in a room talking about like, you know, talking about these chord changes. Now we have like this record. So it's definitely cool, but at the same time, it's like, it's the pressure of like, all right, well, we've done this, we've done this, we've done this, and you just feel like, pressure to continue and level up. And it's exciting though at the same time. So it's kind of all of those emotions mixed in one for me.
Yeah, I think the fun answer is just like, hell yeah, we're excited and it's all coming out and we've been excited since we started it to the moment it's releasing and but I feel like for creatives, or at least I'll speak for myself, being in, this band for a while and several bands before, it's like, in order to survive this world of making albums and putting them out, I've become more detached from the outcome and more obsessed with the process of just doing it, whatever the outcome is. So yeah, the album's gonna come out. I hope people like it, but I couldn't give a fuck because I just want to make more music. And uh, so it's like to me, I don't want to put it super negatively, but it feels almost like an addiction thing where it's like, no, I just need to keep making. I need to keep making. So at this point of the process, yes, I feel very pregnant, and this thing that's about to come out of me is finally going to be here. But I'm already planning the next pregnancy because that's what I do. I be pregnant. And then hopefully the kids work it out for themselves. You know what I mean? That's not my problem.
Such a great analogy. First time I've heard that one. Fantastic. Yeah. And the visualization as well. Yeah, no. But yeah. Yeah, it is such a big moment and definitely stop and smell the roses. Michael, as you say, yeah, going to the record shop and picking up your own album. There's got to be a sense of vindication for all of the hard times and effort that you've put into making it to go, yes, here it is. We've achieved something, something tangible, that I can hold. So yeah, no, absolutely. You should be over the moon with it coming out. And obviously, there's a party happening the day after, 30th of March. For those in New York, Heaven Can Wait venue. Album release show again. Yeah, what would you what have you got planned for that, shall we say?
Well, we've got a great lineup. We have, it's funny when I was talking about the origin story before, the band that I was touring in when we started Gamblers as a side project, the singer of that band, he's got a new project called I Love You, I'm Sorry. Our good friend Andrew Krolikowski, great songwriter. They're making their New York City debut that night, opening the show. Then we have a great band called Beat Radio playing, and then we have Atomic Life playing right before us, and that band has members of Dillinger Escape Plan and Glassjaw, and we're also playing with them the night before in Philadelphia. But yeah, Saturday, March 30th, the record comes out March 29th, so it's like you said, it's the night after, and we're gonna tear it down in the city. We've been practicing a lot, and I just want to go up there and have a good time and celebrate. And but yeah, it's also one of those things too where it's like I'm also gonna be like, when it's over, I'm gonna be like, all right. It's like so much pressure, all this stuff sometimes, whether it is or not, or I just put pressure on us for no reason. But it's definitely I'll have fun once we get on stage.
Yeah, no, we all put too much pressure on ourselves, and I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic night. If only, I lived in America, let alone New York. I'd certainly be wanting to pop along. So, listeners, if you're listening in New York, obviously do try and head along to the show. Is there going to be, plans for more shows to follow for the rest of the year? Are you looking to get out on the road?
Yeah, we have we're playing in Brooklyn on the 26th with a band called Felicity from Florida. We're playing at this place called Brooklyn Monarch. And then we're playing in Philadelphia on the 29th and then New York City on the 30th. And there'll definitely be more. We we've had a real interesting run of like changing booking agents and stuff like that. So we're working on solidifying the next move from here, but we're certainly looking forward to getting out there as much as we can and supporting the record.
And hopefully in the
Absolutely.
UK sometime soon. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to hint at that one. Absolutely, we would love to have you over in the UK. Really, really would. And it's one of them things as well. You touched upon it earlier, like fans not really knowing how hard it is to be in a band, but I always find there's a real misconception around how easy it is for bands to go and play shows because it's really not very easy, is it? Like, it's not a case of let's just grab our gear and go and play the show. There's so much goes into getting booked on shows and being able to obviously get people to come along to shows. Yeah, it is difficult. So obviously, yeah, it would be great if you can, get out there and get promoting the album and playing some shows. And obviously, it'd be better if fans definitely come along to that. So we always give out the social media handles because that's how we all stay up to date with each other these days. So Facebook for gamblers is gamblers, gamblers, gamblers. Yeah, free lots of gamblers for Facebook, and then all the others, Instagram. I keep calling it Twitter, but I'll try and correct myself and call it X. TikTok, it is Gambler's Baby. Again, there'll be links in the bio to the podcast. So listeners, I definitely encourage you, please go and follow the band because that's how you're going to find out about these shows when they do get announced. So just to finalize the podcast, we always have the same last segment that follows on from me talking to you about live shows. We've established I'm a music video geek. I'm also a set list geek. I love
Mm.
the sort of art of creating a set list. A bit similar to, I think there's I said music videos are a lost art. There's a bit of a lost art of creating an album track list. I don't think a lot of effort goes into that from some bands these days. And set list is kind of the same because you can make it really special, or you can sometimes get it completely wrong, and obviously ruin a show really if you get the set list wrong. So it is an important thing. So the question for the segment is, how much importance do you place into the structure of your set lists, and have you got any rules that you tend to follow?
Yeah, this
First
is
of all,
what. Go ahead, Johnny's got it. Yeah.
no, just quickly, like first of all, you're speaking our language, English. No, I'm just kidding. Like we hold set lists and videos at a very high importance in our band. We always have a blast doing our music videos, and yeah, I mean, I can remember like back in the day on like AIM or AOL, like Mike used to write like famous band set lists on his like away messages. So we've kind of always been obsessed with set lists, and we tend to we probably dwell on them a little too much, but that's part of the fun.
I mean, that's what we were doing last night.
Yeah.
We were out.
Literally.
We ran a set. We're like the show's coming up. We ran a set, and then I noticed right in the middle, right before we're about to start a song, I was like, "This feels wrong. What we're about to do next doesn't feel like the right flow." So we ended up going out in the parking lot, talking it out for 15, 20 minutes, and then running it all again very late last night. And yeah, so that's super important to us. You're asking about rules. I don't think, weirdly, I feel like I have, when it comes to track listing or a set flow, I think I do have a lot of that stuff built in by now because I've been doing this my whole life. Like just characteristics of like what's a first song sound like, what might come, towards the middle or the end of an album. But really, I don't think about any of those rules consciously anymore. It's mostly just walking around, listening and feeling a flow. And if you can get there, then you can notice when the flow gets like bumped in a way that you dislike. Oh, or maybe it gets bumped in a way that you meant for it, like, oh, I want something jarring here or whatever. But yeah, when it comes to at least the track list of the record, for me, that was going out on a lot of long walks, usually in the woods, usually with a little weed, and just getting into a state of just like listen, feel, and as soon as something hits me funny, I'd be like, I was floating along, and then I just got like a diversion feeling here, and now I want to look at that a little bit. So it's kind of like follow your heart kind of thing. But again, maybe I've built a lot of these rules into my heart, and I'm not really following it. It's just these rules I have.
Well, we actually made a change to the album based on what Jimmy's describing. There was a song, the album was one song longer, and it just wasn't sitting right. And we had a discussion about it, and where's this song gonna fit? And the answer was it doesn't fit, so we lost it. And then yeah, last night, it's funny that you gave us this question because no one's ever asked us that, but also we literally were dealing with this last night. And we're playing the same the same songs, but we changed the order, and it was 10 times better. 10 times better. I was like, last night I was like, holy shit, I can't, like, it's very important.
Yeah, I mean, you've certainly passed sort of my benchmark. I can tell the passion coming through, and yeah, there might be people listening thinking, really? Does the order of the songs really make that much difference? But I think it absolutely does. So I love to hear it. And obviously, yeah, thank you for sharing that with me. And thank you obviously for coming on and talking through all of the great stuff coming up from Gamblers. Obviously, listeners need to do the right thing. They need to obviously, check out the singles we talked about, check out the videos, grab a copy of the album, come along to shows when they happen. Absolutely a great time to invest in the band and jump on board. And yeah, no, it's been a delight talking to you. We always just say the final message I shoot back to you guys. Sometimes I get a lovely, deep and meaningful one. Sometimes it's literally buy the record. But the final message belongs to you. So how would you like to end?
Well, I would like to jump on that and just use this moment to reveal that I was dishonest earlier, and I want to fess up. You asked how my day went so far, and I left out the real detail that like is just the true answer to that question. And that's that I ordered delivery breakfast in bed, and it was Taco Bell.
Nice.
It's a
Hashtag
better note
Nation
than
on all
any.
the socials. And the new Cantina chicken is better than you think.
Yeah, very powerful message from you. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone for any more?
Thank
We
you
were
for
talking
having
about
us. Go, Johnny. Sorry.
no, it's stupid. It's you just go.
Well, thank you for having us, and thank you to anyone who's gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna do this now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having us, and we hope you guys resonate with the music. And I'm jealous that you're going to Wembley Stadium for AEW. I've seen 2 AEW shows in New York, and I'll be going to. I think they're gonna do a pay-per-view in Queens, and uh, at the end of the summer, or no, the
Yeah,
beginning of the summer. So I'll be there for that. But yeah, man, this was a
beautiful.
lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, gentlemen. Absolutely, one of the most enjoyable podcasts that I've had. Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
Wonderful talking to you,
Yeah.
Paul.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with Gamblers. Do make sure you check out their single Pulverizer over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify. And of course, check out the album Pulverizer on March 29th. You can also follow the band across social media to stay up to date with everything coming from them. And of course, you can follow Full Pelt on social media also. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And finally, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening, because we'll be back very soon with another episode of the Discover New Music podcast.